Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
And yes, we are driving it home. Guess who's back? Why, yes, it is guest host Elliott Serrano, Chicago's King of Geeks, joined yet again by Ken Mejia-Beal.
You got it right.
See, I was practicing all weekend.
Did you? I'm proud of you.
I was in a mirror. I was going, Ken Mejia-Beal, Ken Mejia-Beal.
Did I show up 3 times?
Did
I show up?
And you handed me a martini. Which is the great thing.
Brand.
So folks,
that is on brand.
If you're standing in your house and you look in a mirror and you say the name Ken Mejia-Beal 3 times,
a martini shows up.
A martini will also show up. So thank you so much for that, Ken. And thank you, everyone who is tuned in to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. We are the guest hosts. We call ourselves we're like the K&E show.
K&E show.
K&E show. But we are sitting in for Patti, who is currently, she's back in Nolens.
I'm so jealous of her.
Well, the last time she was in Nolens, it snowed.
It's going to snow again.
Is it?
It's going to happen.
So I told her, look, if you go down there again and it snows again, people are going to definitely blame you.
They are going to ban her.
Yeah.
She's going to be banned from New Orleans for all eternity.
But but she's having fun. She's down there with a frequent show guest, Dr. Susanna Flores.
Nice.
Susanna lives in New Orleans, so it's always nice when you go to another city, like a nice, like a great destination like New Orleans in Louisiana. It's always nice when there are people who live down there.
Absolutely.
And then when they're living down there, you like have you don't have to pay for a hotel.
Well, and you get to see things that other tourists don't get to see.
Right.
You get to see like the real part of things.
You get the native view of the town. Although, mind you, Dr. Flores is from Chicago, but
I
she's
know,
been
but
down
once
there for a
you
bit.
live there, it changes up. You learn stuff.
Yeah. So it was funny. And before I came in, I got here to the station. I got here a little bit early. I wanted to make sure we had all our reads, printed up. I wanted to make sure we had the new sponsor, which we do have. And we had a lot of things going on. Oh, wait. Wait, can I see that real quick?
Yeah,
because
sure.
I'm, again, I do this sort of thing. I'm always forgetting. Well, hey, Minocqua Brewing Company, who is a sponsor of the Patti Vasquez show, got to mention them. I'm told that the beer fridge is locked and loaded.
Well, what are we doing after this?
Well, after this, yes, because we can't, we cannot imbibe while we're on the air.
No, none of that.
But
I'm already a loose cannon.
Really. But back to the point of Patti in New Orleans. It's really nice to be down there, and it just made. But okay, so I get here early. I want to make sure we have all our reads. We already have our show rundown, folks. You wouldn't believe the amount of preparation that goes into what appears to be a completely disorganized show. But
it takes a lot of organization for us to look
disorganized, right?
It's a lot of planning.
So we have our rundown, and when I first walked in, I'm talking to the folks here, and the folks here at CPT who are just wonderful, and are always so welcoming and generous, and Renee, who handles payroll and stuff like that. We were talking, and I was lamenting. Well, we talked about Patti being in New Orleans and how great it is for her, and she gets to relax and all that. I was lamenting how I'm never going to be. I don't know when I'm ever going to be able to go to New Orleans. In fact, it occurred to me today. Well, not today, but it's been a few days now. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to go back to Disney World as much as I love Disney World, and I've been wanting to go to Disney World for the longest time.
Okay, why are we not doing that?
Because well, right now I am kind of like unemployed. So it's like, you can't say you're going to Disney World on,
I mean, you could say it.
I could say it. I can try to manifest it.
You can.
Yeah. But it is expensive. Even when I was gainfully employed, it's really expensive to go to Disney World.
Okay.
And it's gotten even to the point where I don't know, how even a single guy like me can make it. And then The planes are falling out of the sky.
Okay, some of us fly a lot, so let's not do that.
I know. You've been traveling.
We're already on 5 milligrams of lorazepam. We don't.
I shouldn't laugh. I know. I shouldn't laugh.
Woo.
I should not laugh. But again, so it's like there was a bit of. There's a bit of anxiety. I mean,
yeah.
And can I tell you something? And then what did I send you in our show rundown today? The first 15 minutes of the show is, it's Monday, but I'm already tired.
It's been an exhausting week, folks.
And it's only Monday.
We are one day in. No, this has been the longest year of my life.
Yeah, it's only, I know.
Like, why?
It's the Liz Lemon meme that goes
really
around.
is.
You know, Tina Fey goes to Alec Baldwin. It's been a heck of a week, huh? And then Alec Baldwin goes, "It's only Tuesday, Lemon."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's like, it's only, we just hit March.
It just happened.
Just got to March.
I am exhausted.
And I'm like, and there's like this constant just, this anxiety of what's happening, what's going on, and it's like you can't go on you can't go on social media because it's like a feedback loop.
Well, let me say this. I do have to share with you what I did this weekend. And this is, we're going to steer it into a positive direction for a moment.
That's what I have. That's what I need.
Steering it.
That's what I need Ken for.
So, State Representative Stephanie Kifowit invited me to the Kane County Democratic dinner. And the Kane County Dems, wonderful people. Chairman is Mark Gately. They had so many wonderful elected officials there, including Governor J.B. Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. But what I can tell you is the Democrats in Illinois, 90% of them are working hard for you. And that gives me so much joy and positivity that we have a really good bench. So actually I needed that. I needed to be in a room full of some amazing Democrats. Shout out to the Kane County Dems. And that energy and the vibe. And it's like, okay, I'm not alone. And don't get me wrong. I think as Democrats, and I think Dan Savage said this, we focus so much on the protest, and the Trump, and all the negative. You have to remember to dance. And during the 80s, as Dan Savage pointed out, a lot of LGBTQ activists, we, went to funerals in the morning, protested in the afternoon, and danced all night, because you do it all for the dance. And I think that what I'm afraid of is Democrats are so angry and Trump and negative, we're going to burn ourselves out. We are forgetting about the dance. Last night I danced. Don't forget to dance.
Well,
folks.
that's great. No, I love it. I love that idea. And I mean, I will also be honest. I mean, again, I'm a cisgender male.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Hispanic. I am a minority. Mind you, my particular bloc decided to vote for Trump in embarrassing numbers this past election.
And I'm blaming you for that.
I accept the blame.
Okay.
I'm telling you that when I see people protesting now, what's happening with ICE and all these things, all these Latino communities that are protesting it, I'm like, guys, this wasn't the time. The time you were supposed to rally was during the election, when you had your brothers and sisters talking about how I believe that Trump is only going to do this. He's not going to deport them. It's only going to be the criminals. And after what happened the last time, we knew that wasn't going to be the case, and yet it is now. And with all the discrimination that was happening against the Latino community in the last Trump administration, the fact that anyone of Latino descent could vote for him this time and then be surprised at how it went is just beyond me.
I'm going to push back on that. I'm going to push back on that. As a Democrat, always vote, Democrat. I try. You got to give people somebody to vote for and not someone to vote against. And for some reason, the candidate did not resonate. Now, I voted. But I'm going to push back against blaming marginalized people for not doing, quote unquote, what they're supposed to do. I'm just.
But in the Latino community,
yes.
I mean, we can say yes about marginalized people, but we were talking about these were business people. Okay. These were people in the Latino community who were affluent, who had a voice, who could have said things, but who did benefit that did benefit.
You just spoke a whole
from Trump.
You should have led with that.
I could have led with that.
Should have.
But in any case,
I'm retracting everything I just said. Never mind.
Because
because that makes a difference, though.
But but here's the other thing too. You say they should have voted for the Democrats should have given some of the vote for. I would have voted for a rusty can of tomato soup.
Same.
Okay?
Same.
It's like say, here, you either have this can of tomato soup from a rusty can, or we're going to drop you into a pool of sharks. And some people said, I'm not sure I like that soup.
Right.
I'll take the sharks.
I'll take the sharks. And it's like, why is it biting me? Because it's a shark.
Anyway, I'm just wondering, do we have a break? Yeah? All right, good. Let's take a break here because I know I've got Jim in Chicago and Dave in Hoffman Estates waiting. I don't want to cut them off. So let's go to a break here, and when we come back, we'll take our callers. This is Ken Mejia-Beal and Elliott Serrano sitting in guest hosts for Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We'll be back after the break.
Tom Hartman.
Lori in Ocala, Florida. Hey, Lori, what's up?
Hi, Tom. First, I just want to say thank you for being here for all of us. It's really important. It's almost like having a friend there that you know you can listen to and talk to. And I've listened to you since Air America, and I really appreciate you today.
Well, thank you, Lori.
The Tom Hartman Radio Program. Weekdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter. Chicago's Progressive Talk. WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Yes, folks, we are Driving It Home with special guest hosts Ken Mejia-Beal and Elliott Serrano. If you missed us when we first walked in, Ken was pretty much trying to help me kind of like get out of this anxiety that I'm in right now.
That's what I do.
That's what he does. And I know that a lot of stuff happened this past weekend that people have things they want to share or talk about.
Yeah.
So, hey, let's go to Jim in Chicago. Jim, you've been holding for a while. Thank you so much for calling into Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. How you doing, Jim?
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, hi, how are you guys?
Good.
I was thinking about Patti down in New Orleans. Wednesday starts Ash Wednesday. I've been getting the ashes for years and years and years. The same refrain. From dust you came, to dust you shall return. And that's the only thing that I believe, that I know that is true. Because I was a pallbearer in many wakes and lost many loved ones. And what I can't understand is in this age, how do people follow other people? How do they follow another Homo sapien when they know they're going back to dust? I can't understand that. I don't understand how these people have followers. In my mind, I don't even know how that would even begin, how I would follow anybody. I can't, under that criteria, I couldn't follow anybody. And my point is, but now it's become where Musk has got 2 million followers. And so I imagine if you had 2 million, you get up sometime during a day and you turn on this hideous person and you follow some kind of a philosophy he has, or whomever it may be. And where are they going? They're going back to dust. I mean, I don't get it. Can you explain it to me? How did that happen?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Jim, here's the thing. You are an intelligent human being. And, well,
I feel a reversed hitting a couple of people here.
Oh, well, here it comes. Intelligent people can think on their own. And we also, when you mix that intelligence in with a good moral system, we know we have the intelligence and the morality not to fall for anything. Not everyone is built like us. And you have a lot of folks that are too ignorant to think and too moralist to have values. So that's why they follow.
But the internet supports this. It never happened before the internet. I never heard of people being followed. I mean, I know that there were stalkers, or for instance, but I never heard, oh, I'm following this Homo sapien, or I'm following that Homo sapien.
It was different.
I'd be jarring to hear that.
Yeah, no.
But this has turned into a nightmare. You've got tech people who think they're going to run the world. They think they're going to run the world. There's 6, I don't know how many there are. There's 4, but Teal, et cetera, et cetera. And they think they're going to run the world by technology, by AI, and all this other nonsense. Is that what's going to happen to the world? Is the world going to be run by somebody from they're going to hire, like the Russians. The Russians installed Trump, it was cheaply done. He had the swing states in 2016. He had the kids, the high school kids. One of them came up with the deep state theory. I mean, but they're running on this for 10 years now. I mean, when do you follow your own conscience? When do you follow your own heart? When do you follow your own being into the grave? I don't get this. I don't get what's going on, though. I don't get it.
You have to have one to follow it. And that's.
Well,
I'm on your team, Jim. Yeah. I'm on your team.
Thanks, Jim, for chiming in. We got to get to another caller. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim is asking a question that unfortunately we're not going to know the real answer to it for a while. It's something that history is going to have to sort out at some point. But I will say, this sort of thing is not exclusive to the social media or internet age. No. You've had people standing up on the corners on soapboxes, which is where you got the whole thing about standing on my soapbox, and talking to their cause and having people gather around them and then follow their cause that way. So it's just easier on social media. All right, Dave in Hoffman Estates has been waiting. Dave, thank you so much for holding and calling in with Ken and Elliott here on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. How you doing?
Hello, Dave.
Hey, guys. Hey, Elliott. Hey, Ken. On following, I believe the Nazis have done with Hitler, and that was, 90 or 100 years ago, and we're still getting that poison on us. So,
absolutely.
I mean, you've had a lot. All the following isn't always necessarily bad. I mean, Mahatma Gandhi had followers. I mean, you had good people who rallied the populace to their causes. So I don't want to say that just because someone gets up there and gains following, it necessarily is a nefarious purpose.
Right. And like when I grew up in that too, they had that Moon, Reverend Moon, and them Moonies and them people.
Oh, I remember that. That was crazy. They had a giant the wedding they did with like 1,000 people at one time, and the Reverend Moon,
Was this a cult or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
The other one I'm drawing a blank on is the one that was down in that Central American country, and they drank the Kool-Aid.
Jim Jones. My church is actually that denomination, if you can believe that.
So sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I didn't get no Kool-Aid from you.
No, I don't drink Kool-Aid. Yeah. Too much sugar. On
Patti, I just got to thinking, every time she goes to New Orleans, there's a horrible weather. First there was snow, and now you got rains and a tornado. So,
jeez, I didn't hear that.
There's a tornado?
Yeah, they were showing these big weather lines and the heavy rains and stuff down there. But
I did not see that.
Patty.
Wow. I hate laughing. I shouldn't laugh.
This is horrible.
It is.
It's not funny.
It feels good to laugh, though. I mean, it's the way the world's been going lately, that if you don't, you're going to just cry yourself in that. But I was going to mention on Pete Hegseth, this is fresh off the griddle today. He reinstated the name of Fort Benning today, the Army base. This is the second such reversal that he's ordered. And the first that requires actually removing the name of a U.S. service member. This base had been renamed Fort Moore after Lieutenant General Hal Moore, whose memoir, We Were Soldiers Once and Young, which chronicled his service in Vietnam. And the name also commemorated his wife, Julia, who pushed the military to develop a more humane system for notifying family members of casualties. And so he, he's just a piece of garbage, that guy. But and then also the other story where he ordered the Pentagon to stop offensive cyber operations against Russia, and the Digital Defense Report had highlighted Russian cyber operations aimed at influencing the 2024 presidential election, an effort that resulted in sanctions by then President Biden administration. So how can this not be considered as giving aid and comfort to the enemy?
Again, this is all stuff that happened the last time around. Yep. It happened in 2016 through 2020. This is the exact stance that the Trump administration had towards Russia. The exact same things went into effect. And guess what? It didn't matter enough to enough people for us to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't put this guy in office.
Yeah, like Hillary had said, Putin's puppet.
And
he was so right.
Harris said the same thing, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
Do you think, real quick, with Vice President Harris, do you think if President Biden would have done what he originally planned on, being a transformative president, and where we would have had primaries on him, that, some people, I think they felt like they had their, vote snatched, by just saying this is going to be who's taking over. Do you think it would have been different?
I think so.
I don't know. See, that's
so.
Monday morning quarterbacking, because I can see it.
I know.
Well, if the Democratic candidate, let's say we do that, and the Democratic candidate still loses, then you're going to have folks saying, Biden should have just passed it over to Harris.
No. I'm saying to answer Dave's question, because that was the question.
Yes.
I do believe that if we had a primary with contenders and that we're able to rally folks to their cause and their vision, I think it would have been different, yes. That is my answer,
okay,
yes.
Cool. It's just a thought. I mean,
we're going to fight during the commercial break, Dave. I'm just letting you know.
Anyway, sorry. Let's clear off. I know you got other people. You got other people I want to talk, but thanks for giving me some time, guys.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate you calling in. Speaking of the break, we do have one.
We do have one, but you mentioned earlier we have some new sponsors.
Yeah, well, I will hit that when we get back from the break, because this is one of those harder breaks. And I hate.
We really are about to fight, aren't we?
Because every time I hit that hard break, I bump my head. Anyway.
All right, let's go to break.
Folks, you can text us at 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-WCPT. Chime in. Tell us what you think about what's been going on. Ken and I are going to arm wrestle during the break.
And I'm going to win.
And when we come back, we'll talk to you about some of our newer supporters. All right?
Yeah.
This is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal sitting in for Patti Vasquez on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez here on WCPT in the Heartland Signal.
Hey Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Chu's Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. here on WCPT. I want to let you know that one of our leading progressive voices, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, will be my guest the first Friday of every month at 7:30 a.m.
In this moment, we are not going to surrender our humanity. And that's really what I believe the extremism in this country would like for us to do.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, the first Friday of every month on Chu's Views on WCPT.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
We are driving it home with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. Patti is in New Orleans. You're going to get us for the next 2 days.
You say that like it's a punishment.
When I look at you,
oh God!
when I'm looking at you, Gonna get it. You're gonna get it for the next 2 days.
Oh boy, I'm in tears right now.
You should be, folks. We did arm wrestle over the break, and
I won.
Yeah, because it's not. I should have realized how unfair it was. Because I go, folks, if you haven't seen Ken like on his social media and all that, the dude's got some guns, and I have slingshots. Anyway,
it's all. Listen, I lift weights to relieve stress.
Yeah, I lift weights to stave off aging.
That too.
Speaking of aging, well, actually, let's welcome one of the new sponsors of the Patti Vasquez Show, because March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and Patti is proud to welcome a new sponsor to the Driving It Home family. They are You Really Winning? Now, gambling is common in Illinois, with many people taking their chances on the lottery, video game rooms, casinos, or online sports betting. Now, when you find yourself betting and thinking about gambling all the time, when you lose more than you win, and when gambling is affecting your job, relationships, and more, are you really winning? We are here to help you, because you are not alone. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Or visit areyoureallywinning.com today. And I would say this brings up a part of the whole gambling aspect that kind of, I will never understand how let's say the city of Chicago is going to say, hey, we need to open a casino in Chicago, so that way all the money that we make from the casino will fund our schools.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if that really worked, then Las Vegas and New Jersey should have the best schools in the nation. And yet, do they? No.
I'm not jumping in. Yeah.
and don't get me started. Don't get me started on the Powerball. On the Powerball,
I know it's
where it's supposed to be like the last time. No, it wasn't the last time. I think the time previous when the winning ticket was like $1 billion.
$1 billion. I remember. I played that.
Billion, right? Yeah. $1 billion, and yet of that money. And of the states that were participating in said Powerball and $1 billion jackpot, their schools are still struggling to fund them.
I think if things worked the way they were supposed to, this would happen.
Yeah, but they never seem to do it. Right. I always say gambling, scratch-off tickets, all that is a tax on the poor.
Yep.
Because people, you gladly spend all that money on a scratch-off and get what? Sometimes it breaks my heart. I'll go to the grocery store and I see like these older folks like sitting by the scratch-offs machine that they got out of the dispenser, and they're there, just scratch. That is upsetting to me. But I've never seen anyone get up and go, woo! My rent is paid this week or this month.
It gives everybody needs a little hope. A little bit of hope. I think, I don't play often, but when I play, the first thing I do is I pick my numbers, and then I go to Realtor.com and I pick out my dream house. And then I look at my partner and I say, if I win this, I'm leaving you. And then I pick out a new partner.
And there goes your karma right there.
And then I lose, and I say, it's just me and you, buddy. It's me and you.
That's a great way to reinforce your partner that they're your fallback.
That I'm here for the right reason.
Yeah, right. That you're my fallback. I can't do better.
This is it.
And to Ken's partner, he is joking. He is joking.
Knows that. He doesn't take me seriously.
All right. We have hey, look, Victor from Oregon is on the line. Nice. Hey, Victor, let's bring you on board. Victor, thanks so much for holding. You are on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez and guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. How you doing?
Hey, Ken and Elliott, you guys are doing a fantastic job. You're covering a lot of territory.
Thanks,
and that's great.
Thank you.
We need to scratch off Donald Trump, and V.D. Vance is who we need to scratch off.
I agree.
But the point is, Donald Trump has proved to be a traitor to the United States when he had that performance over the weekend. Poor Zelensky, who is just trying to save his country and stop the killing of tens of thousands of women and children from Russian bombs and drones and missiles. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are the ones that should resign. They're destroying America with Elon Musk, taking away all the benefits and all the programs, all the agencies, all the services that Congress passed for the American people. Elon Musk is destroying them one agency at a time. And I suggest that everybody get on social media and call your congressman, call your representative, and demand that Donald Trump and J.D. or V.D. Vance resign. You know, they all want Zelensky to resign, but the real monster is, of course, Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. He's the one destroying America. He should resign. Don't you think, you guys? Are you there?
I wish he would. No, that was a loaded question, Victor, because, yes, of course we agree with you. It's I don't think he will, but I wish he would.
No, he won't. He won't. And I mean, really, the next option, unless you want to, there are a couple things that could happen. Not necessarily saying that they will, but over the next, we're still 50 days into Donald Trump's first 100 days in office, when he's really trying to set his quote unquote legacy. And really, that first 100 days is when you're going to get the most done before you get bogged down and talking about the midterms.
Yes.
Come the midterms, and by the way, there are still two special elections going on in the House of Representatives.
Yes, there are.
Where there are 2 Republican seats that are up, and I don't know what kind of attention the DNC's been giving that, or they're just saying, probably chances are they're going to go to Republican candidates anyway. But the funny thing, speaking of that, is that a lot of these representatives, because they're seeing all the kind of the backlash, the public backlash to what Trump's been doing, what Elon Musk has been doing, and they're doing bypassing the Congress. Their folks, they're going to their, town hall meetings with their local representatives.
Yeah, they are,
and they're giving those representatives a load,
as they should.
And they're being outspoken on social media, as you said, Victor. They're being very outspoken. Yeah. They're saying stuff on social media. They're saying stuff in person. But what are the Republicans doing? They're going, instead of going, hey, let's address this and talk to folks about what the issues are.
Protesters.
Or stuff, or they're just not going to have those town hall meetings anymore.
Yeah, I think you are correct, but I think if everyone can register their protest by getting on social media and demanding that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance resign, I think it's a good start. And tomorrow in D.C., Donald Trump is going to make some sort of speech, and we all have to come out and protest. We're in it 50 days. 100 days may be too late.
Yeah, but the reality is, Victor, with all due respect, the reality is the time to make their voices heard was at the ballot box. And unfortunately, there was a good, I forget what the number was, a good 50 to 60,000 Democratic votes that would have made the difference that just did not show up in the different battleground states. That's how close it was.
Well, that very well may be true, but constitutionally, what they did in red states is illegal, unconstitutional, the way they suppress people from voting. And you can damn well be sure that they threw out maybe 4 to 5 million votes they were able to destroy. So you think Donald Trump won? He did not win. This is the reality of the situation. You don't understand what kind of how far they will go to cheat and steal the elections. They rigged that election. Donald Trump even said that he would rig the election before when he was running on a campaign. He said, you won't have to vote anymore once I'm in because it's rigged. He even came out and said that Donald Trump doesn't lie sometimes. This vote was rigged.
Well,
you guys think what you want, but yeah, that's fine.
I get that, Victor. I'm just for the 4 years that the Trump supporters were saying that the vote was rigged against them to allow Biden to win. I am reluctant to get on the other side and start saying the same thing. Is just my point.
That's one of the techniques they use is reverse psychology. You know, they will go to no depth to steal an election. I guarantee you that. Elon Musk put in $250 million into installing Donald Trump as president. You know, that money went somewhere. And
well, if that's possible, then
everybody.
I'm pretty sure that the Democrats have someone pretty rich who can do the same thing the next time around.
Well, you guys keep up the good work and keep up the fight, because you're freedom warriors. Warriors for freedom. Remember that.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks for
that.
checking in with us, and we appreciate your call. Hey, I like that. Freedom Warriors.
Freedom Warriors.
Is that like the Avengers or the Fantastic Four?
It's like the Avengers, except we don't have to wear spandex.
I could benefit from it. Well, Spanx, at least. Something to really, get me tighten up some areas, you know? Because I'm kind of pouring over. You know, it's funny, too, because if you're, are we on the can people see us on the Facebook page?
They can.
Okay. So if you're looking at me on the Facebook page right now, or on the YouTube page.
Are we going to say the Facebook?
The Facebook or the YouTube.
Got it.
I know I look at myself on camera, and I'm like, my face still looks chubby, but I have lost some weight. You've seen me, right?
Yeah,
over
yeah.
time.
Yes,
I mean, I have lost some weight. In fact, this morning I was getting dressed. I put on this sweater and these jeans. I'm like, I've got a lot of room in here right now. No, mind you, I needed to lose the weight. Before we go into the break, and this is completely non-related to politics, and maybe because we just need a break from all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
My ex-wife sent me a picture of me with our ex-in-laws, who I loved dearly, and they loved me dearly, and they had passed away recently.
Sorry about that.
And you know, and again, it was, you know, they were wonderful people. My ex and I, we parted on very amicable terms. We still talk.
That.
You know, it's a wonderful thing. She's wonderful. Her family was wonderful. All get along great. It just, you know, just
I get it.
I get it. She sent me, she goes, hey, do you want some of these photos that we took with you and Mom and Dad? Because, you know, they loved you. Would you like them? And so she scanned them and she sent them to me. I said, thank you.
Who is this person?
I looked at it and I was going, oh, my God, I'm a boat. I had gained so much weight. And I was like, it's like the whole and it was like unhealthy is what I'm saying.
I get it.
Some folks are big. I mean, I'm not going to tell folks, you know, oh, you need to lose weight to whatever. I mean, for some folks, you just carry a lot of weight and you're healthy that way.
Right.
I was not being healthy with the amount of weight I was carrying. And when I looked at myself in those photos, I was like, whew, doggy. So I want to live to see a few elections. And I want to see the midterms.
Well, speaking of living, can I talk a little bit about tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow on Chew's Views. Richard Chew has a packed show with Robert Steens, president of Advance Illinois, immigration attorney Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, and Dr. Lamenta Conway, founder of the I Am Able Foundation. Chew's Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m., the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook.
And with that, we're going to go to our next break. We've got a lot going on. So, folks, I see someone just called in. Please hold on the line from the 708.
Yes.
And if you haven't called or texted yet, the number is 773-763-9278. 773-763-WCPT. Give us a call. Send us a text. I've got the text line in front of me. This is one of those days when more people are calling than texting.
Yeah, nobody wants to text us.
No, they want to call, which is great. But,
Yay.
I mean, I like reading the text, too.
I know you do.
Don't be shy, folks. All right. When we come back, we'll wrap up the first hour before we get into our guest at the top of the hour.
Former Congresswoman Marie Newman.
All right. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez and guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. We'll see you after the break.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Yes, we are driving it home with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. It's the K&E duo. Key. It's like Key and Peele.
Well, no, not like, now, never mind.
They were way funnier, though.
Well, I beg your pardon. I think we're funnier than those guys.
Well, okay, how about this? Jordan Peele is way better at bringing a sense of horror to everyone.
Yes, he is. He's great at that.
I haven't gotten there yet, although I'm getting there.
Have you seen his version of The Twilight Zone?
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes,
it's amazing.
And at this part of the break, this part of the hour, we are remiss that we have not mentioned, but we've mentioned Minocqua Brewing as well as Source Solar. Kids Above All, another sponsor of Driving Home with Patti Vasquez. Kids Above All, a great organization helping kids in need. And, we're going to have a guest at the top of the next hour. So, hey, we've got folks calling in. Let's get to them. Nancy in Oak Lawn has been holding. Thank you so much for waiting, Nancy. You're on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez and guest hosts Elliott and Ken. How you doing?
Hello, Nancy.
Not good, but hi, guys. How are you doing? Anyway.
You need Ken to help you here because he's been helping me deal with my anxiety. What's going on?
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to feel good listening to WCPT, watching MSNBC, but no. They have, and your guest is going to prove my point and you guys have been proving my point the first hour because, all right, I'm going to take a breath here because I usually get too worked up over all this. First of all, I will fight for my country to my death. Just remember that. I hate when people say to me, oh, well, you just want to give up and not fight. No, I want to fight. And to my death if I have to, and I'll bet any money that's what it'll come to because we're already in the middle of a civil war, and most of the country doesn't even realize it. And secondly, I apologize if I get to sounding snarky because it happens. But I am so tired of this completely broken two-party system. And that's what causes us to lose all the time because they have said the Democratic Party, not the Democratic people. We, the people, haven't been recognized and haven't been represented properly in, I don't know, at least 50 years. I'm a little bit older than you. I'm probably a lot older than you guys. I'm a boomer. And I'll tell you something. I am ashamed of my generation, how they've messed this whole situation up and how made it more dangerous for my children and grandchildren. And this two-party system does not represent us. The Democratic Party allows the cons to step all over us. They allow them to control the narrative. They let them play them all the time. And that's just what they said this last election. My friends all said, oh, I thought you said they were going to win. Yeah, there was a caveat to that. They were going to win if the Democratic Party didn't screw it up again. Guess what? They did. They're all ranting and raving now about how, oh, we've got to fight. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. Where the hell were they a year ago? Why weren't they screaming and ranting then? Why weren't they telling? They lost, not we the people, they lost to a maniac who actually screamed on national television, they're eating the cats and dogs. I mean, come on, really? I'm ashamed. I am ashamed that these guys actually lost to this moron twice. And what do they talk about? Do they talk about what we can do to change it and how we're going to have to fix it? No. They constantly talk about, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. Well, no kidding. And you let him.
Nancy.
In the words of the great late Joe Madison, when he said, what are you going to do about it? Because the Democratic Party is doing nothing but turning around after every election. They do the same thing. You know what that's called when you repeat the same thing all over again and expect a different result?
Insanity.
They turn around every time and they blame the voters. Never talk about voter suppression. Never talk about projection, which the felon is real good at doing. But no, they don't fight back. They just turn around and blame the voters. Count how many, look at Greg Callis, and count how many votes were suppressed this past election. Enough. You talked about people not coming out to vote. If they did, we would have won. Well, guess what? The votes that were suppressed, that would have pushed us way over, and it would have given us a landslide, and it would have given us everything. The White House, the Congress, and the not-so-Supreme Court.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate you venting. Come on, take a breath, and we're all in this together. So thank you so much for calling in. All right, real quick, because we have a hard break coming up, but I got Michael waiting. Real quick, Michael, I got 2 minutes or a minute and a half to give you. Tell us how you feel about Brandon Johnson.
Thank you for taking my call, and you're doing a great job guest hosting today, just so you know.
Thank you.
We have Andrzej Duda, the president of Poland, visiting our city, and I've yet to see the mayor go to any of the events he's been at, which is really despicable, considering we have a leader from a foreign country who is a big ally of the United States, as well as somebody who supports Ukraine. And nobody from our city, our mayor hasn't said hello. Alderman Raymond Lopez has been there. Maria Pappas has visited him. Dick Durbin was at the Post Museum today. Where is our mayor? And I agree with the last caller, but when we have leaders like this, there's a reason why the Democrats lose. The people of the party need to be purged.
I'm all for primaries, so I'm the primary.
I have no rebuttal.
Yeah, nothing. You didn't getting any pushback from us today.
Thanks so much, Michael. Again, there's especially with the Johnson Mayor Johnson's administration. Man, talk about easy things that you can do to help with optics, and they make the bad decision almost every time.
Well, I'm not gonna jump into the Mayor Johnson thing, but I am gonna say primaries are important. I love them, and if someone is doing a bad job, we have to get them out. As I said earlier in the show, 90% of our Democrats are doing a great job. 10% are trash. Get rid of the 10%. We can have a better government.
And a lot of it is action, and a lot of it is messaging, and they're kind of flooding it both ways. All right, folks, when we come back, we do have a guest.
I cannot wait. She is a rock star.
All right. I love rock stars.
I love rock stars.
And we will be back after the break. This is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal here on the Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez show. Patti's in Nolens, where
there's a tornado.
She brought a tornado with her this time. Rain and a tornado. And folks, you can still participate in the discussion. I've gotten one text so far. One text.
Oh, that's sad.
I'm starting to take it personal. So, folks, help me deal with my own self-esteem issues. 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. You're listening on WCPT AM 820 and the Heartland Signal. We'll be back after the break.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
And yes, we are driving it home but with special guest hosts. Elliott, Serrano, and Ken Mejia-Beal. We have been on for the past hour, but now we are welcoming our friends in Minnesota, KTNF AM 950. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening.
Thank you.
We apologize that Patty's not here. Patty's in Minnesota, just so you know. Patty went to New Orleans again. Last time she was there, she brought them snow. This time she went down there and she took them rain and a tornado.
She is banned. She is banned.
And so for our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 and the Heartland Signal, thank you so much for listening. And the text line blew up just now. It blew up.
Of course it did.
It did. It blew up. But we have a guest waiting.
Yes.
And wait a minute, hold on. There is a text regarding our particular guest. Let me find it real quick.
Okay.
All right. Who is our guest, Ken?
Okay. Rock star. Marie Newman is a former Congresswoman, nonprofit CEO, marketing executive, author of A Life Made from Scratch, and When Your Child is Being Bullied, Real Solutions. She's an anti-bullying activist, former Moms Demand Action spokesperson, and national LGBTQ plus advocate. In addition to those roles, she's a mom of two. Marie Newman is known for building movements and solving the toughest problems. Marie's next book, which we will be talking to her about, her memoir, will be released April of 2025. You can pre-order starting in February, which means now. A Life Made from Scratch. Her motto has always been, when you do not see the solution you desperately need, make it from scratch. My friend, former Congresswoman Marie Newman.
Welcome, Marie.
Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I am groovy like a movie.
Oh, I'm going to start I'm stealing that from you right away. Well, I think Elliott had a text that he wanted to read for you.
Hi, Marie. We announced in the last hour that you were going to be on with us, and then the text line blew up. So I just want to say here, boom, I'm going to put this in here. You're having my former representative on as your guest. I fought hard for her along with a lot of other people. I hope you talk about how Marie Newman got screwed by the Democrats. Apparently there's that sense out there among the electorate that the Democratic Party wasn't fair to you. And I'm going to tell you, that is something that we've talked about here on the show in the past. I'd like to hear your perspective.
Well, oh my gosh! Well, that is we didn't even warm up it.
I wish you were here right now. You should see the look that I'm getting. I'm like, wait a minute, sir.
You said read the text.
I didn't know that was the text. I didn't know that was the text.
See, this is why we need to prep more.
I thought you guys were going to buy me a drink first. For God's sake,
the drink comes after.
Martini's on me next time, Marie. I promise. My God.
Apologies for that, but hey, let's hit the ground running. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's kind of an easy answer to that. In life, not everything is fair. In politics, it's not fair. In love, it's not fair. Not everything is perfectly fair. It is hard to even assess whether redistricting was fair or not, right? It's very hard to assess because we don't have a transparent process. And so my only criticism is that we need a process where there is defined leadership, a defined process, and a list of who does what, where, when, and how. At the heart of it, I am, a management consultant, and having sloppiness and lack of transparency and not understanding who's in charge and not having a defined step-by-step process, which many states do, not all, but many states do. So let's just do better that way. It doesn't matter if I won or lost. It really, everybody landed in a good spot. So I would say let's just have a better process, guys.
Great answer. Great answer.
I'm going to sit back right now because I guess I'm a little...
I've already given him the death stare.
Yeah, this is like me on a first date. I get a little too aggressive, and I'm like, hey, you want to meet my mom?
It's like you stay in the corner. So, Marie, I want to talk to you about your book. What inspired you to say, okay, I want to share my life with the world?
Yeah, it was. By the way, I have good news. It comes out March 18th, not in April. But my publisher moved up my publisher moved up my release date because there were folks that were it's a complicated market, but the wholesalers and the booksellers were asking for it, so they moved it up to. So it's actually available March 18th, and you can order now.
And that is a great problem to have.
Yeah, no, it was good. I just wasn't really ready for it, and I was like, oh gosh, okay, here we go. So as I was leaving Congress, a few publishers came to me and said, hey, you have a really interesting story. Would you like to tell your story? And I thought, I don't know that. I don't know if that's a book I would want to read. And so I was kind of not super interested in doing it. Then as I talked to my team, my family and friends are like, no, absolutely. You've had unique experiences that nobody else has had. And I don't know about that, but I think that it is a series of relatable experiences. I have I had an improbable journey to Congress and lots of building of movements from scratch. I mean, the premise of it is that it's a series of stories of where I've built something from scratch because it's happened many times. And the reason I had to build it from scratch is it just didn't exist, right? So my motto has always been, when the solution you desperately need in the world is not available, guess what? You got to make it from scratch.
I love that way of looking at life. Can you, because I will be reading the book, by the way, but can you tell us, of course, can you tell us the hardest thing in your life that you've had to build from scratch?
I think each one has been hard in its own way. I mean, there's three or four that stood out. So when, 14, 15 years ago, my oldest was being bullied severely to the point of, therapy and hospitalization and a bunch of things. And it was a big, gnarly mess. And I frequently call the big gnarly messes the big sticky ball nobody wants to touch in the room. So everybody's at the party and they see the big sticky ball and it's like, gross. Nobody wants to touch it. Well, guess what? Usually it's Marie that goes to touch it and picks it up and figures it out.
Gross.
So yeah, I'm like, no one else is going to do it. I guess it's me. I'm not even qualified, but let me do it. So I think that happened when my son was being bullied. I then wrote a manual about how for schools and parents and communities to manage through these problems, right? Mm-hmm. And so from there, I was asked by Sears Holding Company to develop a national nonprofit. I did that, went to Obama's executive summit on it, helped pass an EO on it, a bunch of things, right? And similarly, when my daughter was transitioning from male to female, she's a trans woman now and doing well, that was a really big deal. I had to learn everything, right? I didn't know anything about being a mother of a trans child, right? So I'd actually take a break from work and then learn that. And I had already been an LGBTQ advocate, but I knew exactly, by the time Evie came out, I think I knew exactly 2 trans people in my whole life, right? So, I did not know anything. And that's really what it's about, is that it's, the mother of invention is just necessity every damn time, Right. So those have been and then when people started to ask me to run for Congress, because I had been an activist for the last 25 years, I was like, oh gosh, that seems hard. And,
yeah.
But again, nobody else in Illinois 3 wanted to, touch the sticky ball. So
right. And it was a sticky ball, by the way. It was very sticky.
Yeah, it was. So everything is hard in its own way. What I hope to take away from the book is that everybody can do everything. We all can do hard things. And sometimes there's no manual, and you have to build it from scratch.
I have a text question from you. This one's a lighter-hearted one. Okay, it's not as aggressive as the last one was. I apologize again for the first one. Sometimes I know my people skills sometimes need work. Hi, so happy you have Marie Newman on. I canvassed for her back in 2018. She's one of the truly rare folks in politics, genuinely cares about public service.
Yes.
What support mechanisms has she found to aid her in her work for public advocacy? There are a lot of us helping others independently and staying far away from political parties.
Ooh, that's a good question.
So the question is, what support mechanisms have you found to aid in your work for public advocacy?
You know, because I've always just kind of built things from scratch, I think we're in that process right now. So to that question, I'm using a bunch of things. So I'm working with activist groups of a wide variety in D.C. right now. There's a coalition that's been built and been talking about how to rebuild the party that has really gone astray, right? It is we have to be honest with ourselves. I think that there's nothing but opportunity here, and we have good, solid days ahead. But we are a bit of a hot mess right now. Let's just all be honest about that.
Yes, thank you for saying it. Yes.
And so what I've been doing is I've been working with a lot of the indivisible groups. I've probably done 7 or 8, 9 of these now here and in D.C., where I've talked about we have to rethink how we're thinking about voters. Voters don't give a darn about party anymore. About 50 to 60% of the population or the voting population is what we used to call independent, and now I call them context voters, because folks in this election voted based on what they saw in front of them and what was their context. So many people had the context of, hey, I want things to be more simple again. I want, immigration is making me nervous, and the economy is in the toilet right now. That was at least their reality. Were those things all necessarily true? No, but that was their reality. So we have to understand how context voters actually think and work. And we have to stop putting everybody in these buckets. There are let's look at the electorate right now. So in the exit polling, Gallup and Pew showed that of all Trump voters, only 22% were actually Republicans that either leaned that way or what if the rest were context voters and some Democrats, right? So in the overall electorate, only about 30% say that they affiliate, lean towards, or are a Democrat, and a similar amount for Republicans. So what that tells me, if we take the squish out of the 30%, we're looking at 40 to probably 60% of the current electorate is non-affiliated, right? And they vote based on their context. So we have to stop thinking about people as Democrats and Republicans and independents and think about what the issues are. So the big chore that the Democrats have in front of them is understanding people's context and their everyday. And they're just not. I'm sorry. And God bless them. There's a lot of hardworking, amazing, talented, lovely humans in Congress. But no one is leading the charge on that. I hope Ken Martin does. I see him out knocking doors in rural areas. That's a good start.
That is a great start.
The number one thing, and I can't stress this enough, is the number one thing that Trump voters said when they decided to vote for Trump versus VP Harris is they said, you know what, nobody ever asked me. And that really stuck with me in all those focus groups. I was like, oh, my God. And it's true. We told them what they should be thinking, but we didn't ask them. And so we got to rebuild and ask.
Marie, can you hang with us until the next break, this next break, and then we'll
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's going to be real quick, and then we'll finish. We'll take you to the bottom of the hour. This is Marie Newman, who was a former congressional representative and running for...
She's an author.
You're an author. Oh, an author, wrote a book.
Yes.
Getting published sooner than we thought.
Yes.
And knows how to deal with overly aggressive questions fairly well. I got it.
She's a rock star.
Got my vote right there. All right. We'll be back after this break. This is Elliott, Serrano, and Ken Mejia-Beal on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
This is WCPT 820. Where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We're driving it home on the Patti Vasquez Show with special guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. We've got special guest Marie Newman on the line, who's been talking about her involvement in politics as well as the book that she's written.
Yes.
And I'm just going to sit back a bit because I tend to be a little too aggressive in my questioning.
Oh, stop. you stop it.
You're
right there.
fine. You're fine. It made me laugh more than anything else.
I appreciate that.
I think I'm going to have to send you the actual clip of me looking at him as he asked that question.
It was a look. Again, if you're
like, what are you doing?
Which is why, if you're watching on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page, there's a whole level to this show that you're getting to see.
I can't hide my face.
That you're not getting just listening over the air. And again, thank you, Marie, for being such a good sport about all this.
No worries.
I appreciate that.
And so now the book, A Life Made from Scratch. So a little bit about politics. I have a question for you. As you watched the last cycle, because you and I politically we align. I totally agreed with everything you just said about how we can, fix the party. Did you find that Democrats were not speaking to folks that we should be speaking to? Because the way you during the last segment, you mentioned that a lot of folks weren't even asked. Did you see that a lot happening? Because I know I did.
Yeah, I think that everybody, now I keep hearing some party leaders are like, oh, we got to tack to the right, we got to tack to the center, we got to do this. It's like, no, stop. Everybody stop. Go talk to people in all 50 states and understand what their context basket is, because you clearly do not understand. Now, I will say, and I want to be clear, VP Harris did an amazing job.
Absolutely.
Her team did an amazing job.
Yes.
The party did an amazing job. All of the volunteers, we should not blame anyone or feel badly about anything, but we should know that we found out that these folks did not feel like we asked them what they wanted and that we told them what they wanted, and nobody likes that. So it's as simple as get out to all 50 states and start talking to people, because you got to reinvent. And when you reinvent, you got to hear what people want.
No, I like that. So when you ran your first race, you ran against an incumbent who wasn't real. I'm being very politically correct because I'm on air. Wasn't doing very much for the community at all. Was kind of letting us all down. You came in and you didn't let us down. When you look back on folks that are in office that are constantly letting us down, what advice would you give someone that's sitting at home, driving in their car right now, thinking, I think I could do a better job, but I don't know what to do?
This is part of the talk that I've been giving to the Indivisible groups and some of the other activist groups in the coalitions is we are at our best when public sentiment is behind our politicians, right? So by us becoming very aggressive and very loud and very strategic, it helps our representatives and senators have more courage, and courage is contagious. And then secondly, it makes them stronger because they have public sentiment behind them. So we still are a part of this equation. We have to really make noise and really make it clear we will not, our red line is you will not cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Red line. Stop hurting our veterans. Stop hurting our elderly. Stop hurting our disabled. Like all of those things, right? We got to get really clear on all that. So the second part of my talk is beyond the activism is run. It's as simple. I can't say it any louder. Please run. We are due as part of this reinvention and innovation in the party. Not only does everybody have to learn what the electorate wants and who they really are, but we need new folks. Of course, there's some great incumbents and they should stay and
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
But a lot of folks need to go night-night. I'm just here to tell you.
I agree.
Yeah, it is time for night-night for a bunch of folks. And so I have candidates call me every week, but I do give them the eye opener, right? These are the things, and that's partly why I wrote the book too, is that understand what you are going to be up against. I am still encouraging you to run, but I was naive about how brutal it can be, right? And so I share with folks that, like, look, it was the best job I've ever had. I really enjoyed the community work, solving problems, and building legislation. I didn't really enjoy the politics a whole big bunch, I will tell you.
And that makes sense.
So I tell people, run, because this is the time to run. We are in a kind of a great opportunistic period where folks can run in all parts of government. And I don't like the word levels, because each part of government is just as important. If you are a library trustee, it's just as important as being a city council member or a member of Congress. You are delivering public service to people, and you should feel amazing about that. So I say run in every part of government. I have by the way, I built some how-to manuals for a couple of groups in D.C., and they're on my website, which is Marie Newman Studio. So if you're planning a social movement or you're planning a political campaign, go ahead, take a peek on there, and I hope those are helpful. It's at marienewmanstudio.com. My book's on there and all the other stuff, but those manuals are on there if you need help.
And before I let you go, thank you so much for joining. I know you have a book signing coming up in Lombard. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, and I've got a bunch of them. So
sorry, I just saw the Lombard. I'm a bad stalker. I apologize.
So
I can help you with that.
Thank you.
The first one, my launch event is March 18th at Barbara's Bookstore in Yorktown Mall in Lombard.
Okay.
But then I have another, I think, 10 events in the Chicago area, and then I'm going to Seattle, Portland, D.C., Phoenix, and a couple of other spots. So, yeah, so it'll be fun. I keep telling my husband, I said, it's okay if my book doesn't do well, but I get to see all these people I haven't seen in so long. I'm so excited.
Well, I look forward to seeing you on the 18th. I will be there. That's why I have it written down.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, so I'm coming. Yay. Thank you so much for joining us today, Marie.
Well, it was a delight, and yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I will talk to you soon. And listeners, we will be right back after this break.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
There's so much that goes on behind closed doors.
On WCPT 820.
We're driving it home with special guest hosts, Elliott, Serrano, and Ken Mejia-Beal. Also want to thank our new sponsor, Are You Really Winning? March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and the Patti Vasquez Show is proud to welcome a new sponsor to the Driving It Home family. Are you really winning? Betting, gaming, wagering, no matter what you call it, gambling can take many forms. And for some people, gambling can lead to financial problems, relationship problems, and depression and anxiety. But you don't have to feel out of control. Problem gambling can be managed and treated. We are here to help you because you are not alone. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER, or visit areyoureallywinning.com today. We've been talking about we talked a little bit about gambling as far as the Mega Millions. We had a text. Dave from Hoffman Estates texted in. Elliott and Ken, earlier you guys were talking about Powerball and Mega Millions lottery. I've not played them in a while now, as I come to realize that these games are quote-unquote rigged lately. When the jackpots get way up in obscenely atmosphere dollars, you get one winner, and either of them is from the left coast or the right coast. Never, or very, very rarely, is there a winner from the Midwest. And as the jackpots build, you know more people are buying tickets, and yet only one gets the winner. Years before, you get 3 to 4 winners, usually across the U.S. One coast would win Powerball, and you can bet the other coast will get the Mega Millions when its pot will grow. So a little bit of, the Midwest isn't benefiting from the coasts.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that because I do believe the last few winners were from the Midwest. I think
there was one in Ohio.
Yes, yeah. I think the big winners, like the big winners, have been from the coast.
Right.
But, we don't pay attention to the $5 million pots or the $10 million pots because, trust me, I'm not turning down $10 million.
I'm telling you that
I'm not turning down $10.
Here's my thing. If I was, let's say, if I played it, I would not want to be the one who'd win that huge check because it gets so much attention.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, I'd have so many family members come out of the woodwork asking for money. I would want to be one of those, you know what? Yeah, like a $10 million winner, $5 million winner, whatever, like something like that.
Where it goes under the radar.
Under the radar. I can take that money, put it into my ever so dwindling retirement account, and then just not have to worry about, what's going to happen when I, decide to retire.
I win the lotto. I'm buying eggs. I'm buying 24 eggs.
That then there is an investment.
24 eggs.
All right. And real quick, so many calls. I mean, so many texts that blew up. Hey, you guest guys are doing great. Please ask some of the people that call in and complain about the Democrats or the party. When did they last run for office, or have they volunteered? Or how about offering some ideas to their current party? Marie Newman was talking about that very thing.
Yes. So people, listen, because I get that a lot too, because I'm a liberal. I'm a Democrat, but I'm a liberal. So some of the pushback I get is, well, Ken, what are you doing to help? And it's like, easy. I knock doors. I help candidates. I'm a political strategist. I'm a former chair of a party. Just because someone complains doesn't mean that they're not doing anything. I think that's a false narrative. I think a lot of folks... This is how I look at it. I made a Facebook post about it, and people got mad. So here we go again. People hate Ken. But you can either be a Democrat or you can join a cult. So if you are a part of any organization, I don't care what organization that is, if you can't find a fault or anything negative about that organization, then you are not in an organization. You, my friend, are in a cult. So if you can't add to the discussion of how the Democratic Party can be better, if you think the Democratic Party is the best it can be, has the best folks it can ever have in the history of the world, bad news, you're probably in a cult. The rest of us are looking at it like, yes, we're a great party, but there is room to do better, period.
And with some perspective about Colorado Democrats and voters, we'd like to welcome Cynthia, who's been on the line for a
Cynthia.
bit. Hey, Cynthia, thank you so much for waiting and for calling in to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. You're in with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. How you doing?
Well, good. Thank you so much for taking my call. I do have some suggestions for Democrats nationally, and I think I've said this before to Patty. They don't teach civics in school anymore. I'm willing to bet the reason most people don't know how government works.
Correct.
I would encourage the Democrats to take some courses, teach some courses to how a bill is made, how one president profits from the last president, or he's cursed from the last president. There is no way Trump can make an economy good in 1 month or 1 year. He's running off previous presidents' policies. Now, he can wreck things pretty fast, as he's showing. But I really do believe that the Democrats need to start explaining how, like Bob the Builder, how one peg, in a spoke turns it, there's not enough people who understand how government runs. And I think if they knew, then they wouldn't be so reckless in choosing people who they want to have a beer with for a legislator or a president.
Say that again, Cynthia. Oh, my God.
Thanks, Cynthia, for chiming in. We appreciate your call.
Yes.
I mean,
it's true.
It is. There's a lot there.
What happened to Schoolhouse Rocks?
So they're out there. You can find them on YouTube, and it's funny that with the last, dust up on social media when the White House social media account declared Trump as the king, and then there was someone passed around on social media the YouTube or the Schoolhouse Rock "No More Kings," no more kings, and it talked about the whole thing about how we wanted to no longer have kings. I will say this, and this is not as an excuse, but as someone who has been in the classroom, because I get this all the time. Why aren't we teaching these kids this? We need to teach the kids about how to do their taxes because they don't need to know how to do the algebra. They need to learn how to do their taxes. I go, have you ever tried teaching math in a classroom? Our teachers are at their wits' end just trying to teach the basics. I'm talking about the bare basics about, again, reading, arithmetic, science, social studies. Getting our kids to focus on those things in this current environment with our kids is challenging as it is. Don't get me wrong. I think civics is really important. And I think if you made it, I remember, I can date myself here, but I do remember taking civics in school. I do remember having to take a Constitution test.
I think you have to.
Yeah. Right? But I remember all those things. And that's why these days when I see people complaining online about why doesn't the Congress do this? Why don't the Democrats do that? I'll go, folks, the reason the Democrats aren't doing these things is because they can't. They have no majority. Yes, there are things that they can do to obstruct, which they will. There are things that they can do to kind of slow the gears for a while, which they are doing. But to get angry at Democrats for not being able to do certain things is a bit ridiculous. But hold on. And now to that end, I've had this text sitting in front of me for a while.
Oh God.
And
oh God.
And this is,
and you made direct eye contact before you said that.
And this is, I know it's calling me out. Okay.
Yes.
So, and I accept that. And again, if you text, because we had that one caller, I know when I said Democrats should have shown up or we did it, and that's why we lost it. And I know, and I even said, that one gentleman saying the election was stolen, blah, blah, so on. Fine. This is from the 815. I'm reading. I got to go through this real quick. This is from a person. They claim that they're a reporter for The Guardian and New York Times. The GOP purged 3.6 million black voters that voted for Kamala with a bogus scheme to stop the black vote, especially in blacks and red states. This was Greg Palast was talking about this, the reporter. Tom Hartman interviews him. It's been authenticated by 2 different investigations. Look online, check the source. Trump projects his lies. This time they actually stole the vote. I'm a former college professor. This is not junk science. GOP passed all these laws within the last years. So here. And I'm not going to deny that, yes, there was voter suppression going on.
There always is.
There always is.
Yes.
The Democrats saw that coming, too. So whether it's imagined suppression or actual suppression, yes, it was actual suppression. Democrats had to be smarter and figure the end around on the Republicans on how to deal with these taxes. Because I'm telling you, for every tactic, there's a counter to it.
Yes.
And my problem here is only as far as the messaging goes. Throughout 2020 and on, the Trump side kept saying the election was stolen, the election was stolen, the election was stolen.
Correct.
So it's just difficult for us now to come out and say the election was stolen. It's just I'm sorry, it's just an optics thing.
I personally do not believe the election was stolen. I believe that man got more votes. However, as a black man in this country, I'm not going to sit on this platform and tell you that voter suppression does not happen and it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Both things can be true. That's it.
That's true. And and again, it does happen. Guess what? Yeah, that means you got to fight harder on our side. Got to fight harder to get that vote out that is being suppressed.
Yes.
So, and anywho, and I say, hey, we're learning a lot from this election, how it went. I say the Democrats need to take some pages from that playbook and use it for the midterms.
We need to start playing hardball.
Yeah, I kept saying it's
time to play hardball.
Air Bud bit. The Republicans have been letting their golden retriever dunk on us, and we're saying, but dogs can't play basketball.
Yes, and it's like the dog is playing. Let's get our dog.
Let's get our dog. Exactly. All right, this is our last break before the final. We'll be back.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Count me among the Americans that want to see change. Now, of course, the change I was looking for would have put Kamala Harris in the White House. Americans voted for change. They just, Trump, I think they got the wrong kind. Still, I'm grateful for elections, even when we lose. They tell us about ourselves, and we can't ignore that and shouldn't.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We're driving it home on the Patti Vasquez Show with guest hosts Elliott, Serrano, and Ken Mejia-Beal. And if you've been watching us on the YouTube or the Facebook page,
we are back to the YouTubes.
We're back to the YouTubes, and you folks, you missed it. I was ready to throw stuff at Ken. We've been arm wrestling, we've been arguing, we've been throwing things. It's been one of those days, and we're coming back tomorrow.
It's kind of like my first marriage.
My first marriage, wow. We are both in therapy right now.
I am, and after I leave here, I'm going to go have a drink, just like my first marriage. But I'll be back tomorrow, because we're in for Patti again, and our guests include Wisconsin radio host Ben Kimonos and Lyle trustee Mary Jo Mullen, who is running for mayor. Tuesday on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be joined by Illinois reps Robin Kelly and Brad Schneider, plus Up North News founder Pat Kretlow, and Heartland Signal's Rich Urberwine will with 3 stories you might have missed from our digital newsroom. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. Central on WCPT, Chicago Progressive Talk for 20 years. Right now on the Driving It Home Featured Interviews podcast, you can hear Patti's recent interviews with Wisconsin State Senator Diane Hesselben, Texas State Rep James Tallarico, Single Car Crashes writer-director Brittany Ward, and cast members Trevor Morgan and Paula Osfinski, Walter Mendenhall, former NFL running back and founder of Male Mogul Initiative, former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, and much more. Find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Just search for Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez or get the links on the Driving It Home show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and clicking on Patti's beautiful picture. Listen live weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. at 8:20 a.m. on TuneIn from heartlandsignal.com or watch the live video on WCPT's Facebook or YouTube pages. Back to you, Elliott.
And if you haven't had a chance yet, you can always text at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. As always, thanking all our listeners here in Chicago listening on WCPT 820 AM, throughout the country on the Heartland Signal, as well as in syndication on KTNF AM 950. And we're getting near the end of our first show of the week. And
we're going to see a lot of each other this week.
We are going to see a lot of each other this week. I'm going through our texts here. Again, the text blew up right after I asked people to text.
Good.
And then people were calling. And this has been a heck of a show. Calling back, I believe, to earlier in this hour, Patty is my favorite, but so awesome to hear you guys. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
We appreciate that.
This dude is right on. We talked about Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, so this dude is right on about Brandon Johnson. I am 60 and have literally almost never seen such an incompetent leader as this guy. And I'm airing that out because I guess we are a progressive station, but we're not going to say that the Democratic leaders, the supposedly progressive leaders of our party, can't be criticized. And the thing with Brandon Johnson, again, it's all, if you ask me, it's been messaging. In fact, both sides are having an issue with this right now. The Republican Party right now is being buried by their constituency over this whole Elon Musk thing, over the cuts being made to the federal government, and they are doing a horrible job making a case to the American people about why this is good. The only folks who are happy with it are the MAGAs who are also going, I support President Trump, but I didn't expect him to cut my job.
And it's funny because he told you he would. So I don't understand what the surprise is here.
And again, it's back to minorities here. I mean, a minority voting block. Because I'm going to call out two things here. Coming to the end here.
Do it.
First, I'm getting tired. And every time I see this on social media, I kind of have to call it out and make a correction. I'm getting tired of hearing that when it comes to the Trump administration and his policies that, quote unquote, half the country agrees with it. Okay, because of he got like 49%. Okay, half the country did not agree with it.
No,
77 million people voted for Donald Trump, and guess what? That's 24% of the overall population of the United States of America. So that's 1 in 4 people in a room.
Yes.
All right. So if one guy walks in a room and starts saying all that stuff about Trump, and there are 3 other people in that room who disagree, trust me, that one person doesn't get to run things unless the other 3 let them.
And that is the problem, though, because you're going to have one that stands up, and you're going to have 2 that says, oh, this is not polite dinner conversation. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm just going to sit silently and play with my pearls or play with my pen. That is the problem in America. Too many people are so afraid of being uncomfortable, and they're so afraid of confrontation. They're so afraid of being offensive. I wake up every morning and I say my goal is to offend 3 people today. 3 people every day. 3 random people, whether it be online, in person, because at the end of the day, I believe in honesty over politeness. And I think that's where we need to get back to. I mean, I'm a weird person, and that's probably why I don't have that many friends. But we need more than 1 out of 4 to be ready to stand up and say, well, let's have an honest conversation.
And then relating this to, again, back to the Brandon Johnson issue. I mean, how many people in Chicago voted in the last election?
3.
I want to say it was less than 10% of the less than 10% of the total of voting eligible folks in the city of Chicago.
It was outrageous.
It was ridiculously
outrageous
for all the talk and all the, I don't want to say vitriol, but all the folks were just so angry and saying, "Oh, we need someone better." And it's a messaging thing. With all due respect to Mr. Mayor Johnson, because being the mayor of the 3rd largest market in the United States is not easy.
No.
But the messaging, I'm going to go back to the messaging, doing some incredibly tone-deaf things. I'm sorry. I know you don't intend to do this, but come on. Don't talk about cutting salaries for policemen and firefighters at the same time getting offices renovated, for how many thousands of dollars and paying all this money for haircuts. Yes, I know it's not a big deal. It's not that much money, but it's the optics. It's all about optics. And it seems like the Democratic Party, especially in the city of Chicago, has completely forgotten about optics.
I don't think it's just the Democrats in Chicago.
Oh, it's us too.
I think I think politicians overall have forgotten about optics. And more importantly, they've forgotten how to shut up and listen to the voters. Because God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. And it's become a thing where politicians are so ready to talk at you because they have it planned. They've read the polls. They've done the data. They know exactly what you want. And then they do all the talking and leave the room. And it's like, that's not what I want. That has nothing to do with me.
And back to the text line. I think I ticked somebody off.
Joy, Elliott.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. Yes.
Okay. I'm looking for context here because this person was texting the Joan Esposito show and was asking questions, but then, boom, here as we're approaching the end, lies. Okay, I guess there we go. Byrne, Daley, Emanuel all made bad and horrible decisions. True, they did. I'll give them that. Mm-hmm. As a voter, optics is a lazy message. Again, I guess I will say optics don't matter as much as actual policy. But and also I'm not running for office, but I'm just saying as a voter.
But optics matter.
And as a marketing person, that's what I've done. If I was running a campaign, I'd be like, folks, we need I tell my candidate, you need to pay attention to this. All right, okay, and this is the last one, and this is for me because hey, it's Monday. I'll admit it. I didn't start it all great, and I needed a little cheerfulness. So
Yay.
Here, from Mark, who said that we're also great hosts, asks, how are you unemployed, Elliott? You're such a smart, cool guy. Mark, thank you for that.
Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I am not. FYI, I am a media freelancer. All right. When I'm here at CPT, the folks here at CPT are really cool. They take care of me, but I'm not employed by CPT. I'm kind of like a freelancer. This is like call it a side hustle. And yes. And how is it that we have media have money for a new Bear Stadium? And yet for schools,
that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show. That is a show that we will do next week.
We will do it. Hey, maybe tomorrow. All right, folks, we got to go. Before we go, Ken, how can people follow you on social media?
Follow me at Ken Mejia-Beal on Facebook and Twitter, and please check out youth-outlook.org. Great organization. I am the treasurer. And I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Look for Elliott Serrano with 2 L's, 2 T's, and 2 R's. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening today, for calling, for texting. Ken and I will be back tomorrow while Patty brings maybe an earthquake to New Orleans. Jesus. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, thank you so much, folks, for listening. And if you've missed anything, you can always go to the Heartland Signal page to listen to the podcast of this show. Subscribe, like, heart, share. Help me help you. That's right. Coming up next is Randy Road for Ken Mejia-Beal. I've been Elliott Serrano. See you next week.